Good day and welcome to another Monday Momentum. My name is Laurie McNaughton and I am your Scale Up Biz Coach. Today we're going to talk about the power of asking great questions. I first came across this idea when I was at a Tony Robbins event back in the mid 90s. And he said, the biggest challenge most of us have is we don't ask ourselves good questions. And if you think about it from the perspective of how sort of the brain functions. Most of us are sort of in this state of semi-hypnosis, if I could call it that, where we're just uh, ruminating on thoughts rather than actually thinking. So the premise of asking great questions is to create more thinking versus just random thoughts rolling around and around. So Tony Robbins came up with morning questions and evening questions. Just to give you an example, there's taped right up here is like, what am I happy about in my life right now? And what about that makes me happy? Now, there's several other questions. And he got the evening power questions, which is, what have I given today? And in what ways have I been a giver today? Those are just some questions you can ask. But I want to change this up just a little bit from my perspective and some of the things that I've learned over the years working with business clients. And so it's if you start by asking yourself thought-provoking questions, then you create a pattern of thinking your way through that challenge here. So as it says here on the slide, the day you start asking yourself important questions is the day you start growing. And I think I read this and I wrote it down in my journal a while back. Um, the day you stop asking questions is the day you stop growing, and the day you start asking questions is the day you start growing. So really look at how you would incorporate this into your day. So let's just move to the next slide here. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens by asking better questions. As if Tony Robbins talked about, bad questions are, why does this always happen? Or why does everybody always screw up? Or why is it that this? Why is it that? Because here's the thing. When you ask yourself that question, your brain looks for an answer for that question. And, eventually it might come up with you're brain dead or you're not smart, you're whatever, all these negative sort of connotations. But when you ask yourself power questions, which we're going to get into here, questions that typically start with, what could I do, or what needs to happen, or who could help me, or what's working well, what's not working well. These sort of questions get you to think your way through the process. So let me just look here. Yeah, no, let's just keep moving on here to the next slide. Why questions matter. Most people are drifting through on autopilot. I talked a little bit about that already. Doing what they've always done. Guess what? When you do what you've always done, you get what you always got. So you need to find a way to reflect on what it is that you're doing to come up with a different result. So uh, ask yourself power questions. Ask yourself questions that are going to get you thinking about what it is that you need to do. So what does it say here? But the people who grow, evolve, and break through limitations are the ones who ask themselves important questions daily. That's a big point here. I have two journals that I use. One is that I just journal in, and then the other is I do my daily stuff in here. And so, I start by asking myself, what am I grateful for? And then I write down three or four things that I'm really grateful for. And then I say, who loves me and who do I love? And these are just questions to get me thinking about things that are going well in my life. Now, when it comes to my coaching practice or business in general or my clients in general, it's like, I ask myself better questions about what moves me forward versus what keeps me ruminating on what's not working, if that makes sense. So here's some questions here that have the ability to spark your thinking pattern. I want to say thinking pattern, not thought pattern, because when I always think about this, thoughts are randomly going around in your head. Thinking is really when you're working through problems. So, what is it that I want? Or what are my current goals? Or why does this matter to me? I've talked about this in previous episodes. You need to really understand why it matters to you. And then what are obstacles or challenges that I'm facing? This is a really great question because it dives into specifically what's holding you back. It could be the obstacles that I have is my business is not very systemized, or I don't have a bunch of great people, or maybe I'm not a great leader, or I'm not a great communicator. And those would be all put up obstacles or challenges. And so now you can start to work through those. For instance, if I'm not a great communicator, pick up pardon, not Thinking Grow Rich, Conversational IQ by Judith Glazier. It'll just help you understand the best way to communicate. There's another book. If I think of it, I'll share it with you. Um, yeah, hopefully it'll come to me before the end of the presentation here. So, what's really holding me back? What actions or steps do I need to take? What am I pretending not to know? This is a really good question because it really gets you down deep into the weeds, so to speak, and try to understand, what it is that you don't know that you need to know. So what resources do I have? And what resources do I need? And who must I become to achieve my vision? This is really an important question too, because for many of you who own small businesses, and I primarily work in the services and construction industry, and it's like you got your tool belt on. That's not who you need to be for your team. You need to be the person who's building the business. Think of your business as your product. Your team delivers what your business delivers as terms of a service or product, but you're building a business. So think of it as I'm building this set of processes that makes a healthy, profitable business that thrives even when I'm not there. Now you have a very valuable asset. So you want to dive into these questions because they go deep into your subconscious and activate it from that perspective versus just surface level, as I talked about before. So, subconscious conversation. The subconscious runs 95% of your life. You have a set of habits, reactions, beliefs. And I know many of you, because you can relate to being activated. That's your subconscious. That's not you. That's not because if you thought about, well, why would I care about that? Why would I care about that? Versus you get activated and you just fall into this pattern of doing things. So this is, and again, another important point why you need to ask yourself better questions, because you need to drill down so you understand that, hey, this is just something that just popped up. It's not even worth me giving any of my time or energy to. So here's the thing. If you're not growing, odds are your subconscious programming is running an outdated code. Now, I said that way because I look at your brain, and this is the way I've heard about it, read about it, and think about it. And with my own life, is our brain is your hard drive, and your mind is your programs that you're running. And so, meaning just like your computer, it's a set of programming programs. And so, if your computer isn't working right, then you call up the IT guy and you say, "Hey, listen, my software is not functioning the way I want it to do." But with your brain, you don't go, "Hey, my brain isn't, or my programs aren't running the way they should, so I need to call up the IT guy," because you can't do that. So you got to work on it yourself. Or if need be, if the reasons arise, then you can go and talk to therapists, that sort of thing, if that's what's important. But I would start out by asking myself better questions, because when you ask yourself better questions, you create new programs because you're thinking through the challenges. So, as it says here, to upgrade it, you need to initiate a conversation with it. So, start things like journaling, meditating, start listening to that quiet inner voice that you've been mostly ignoring. And I say that because I meditate every day. And it's during that time that I'm meditating that I really get to know what my brain is thinking about. And you'd be really blown away by a couple things. First off, how random these thoughts are in your brain. And I think they said we have something like 80,000 thoughts every single day. And, one of them might be, oh, my dog pooped on the rug today. Oh, I need to go to the bank. Oh, I need to wash my car. Oh, I didn't work out today. Oh, I need to drink some water. Oh, just completely all over the place like that. And that's why it's again important to ask yourself questions. And when I meditate, I get really clear on how sort of scattered these thoughts can be. Now, the other beautiful thing I find about meditating is that I come up with the best ideas during meditation. I can go down a lovely rabbit hole, let's call it that way, where I'm going, okay, yeah, I need to do this way and this way, and I put it together like this, and this is how going to create a different outcome, and it just makes so much sense. So, again, asking yourself better questions. Now, another term you might use instead of meditation, because a lot of people struggle with the idea of meditation. Uh, Everybody can meditate. I'm going to say that right up front. Everybody can meditate. It just you just quietening your mind, and all that means is like every time a thought comes, you go, what, I'm just going to focus on this moment because this is most important, because I care about myself, I love my life, and I love myself, and I'm going to stay in this moment. So I'm going to, and it what happens in my experience with it is that uh because I typically meditate for up to an hour first thing in the morning, is that first 5, 10 minutes or so is like bouncing all over the place. And then slowly you create this space between the thoughts. And then that's when the ideas come to you. Now, I also don't typically dive too far into the ideas, because right now all I'm talking about is, really creating some homeostasis in my mind and my body so that everything relaxes and comes into a peaceful space. And that's where the creativity begins. Deepak Chopra said it's the space between the thoughts where creation happens. So let's see here. Your next level isn't found in the hustle, it's found in your internal alignment. So, think about, you might subconsciously be saying, I want to do this or I want that, but you keep doing something else and you keep getting something that you didn't want. So you need to realign that between your subconscious and your conscious mind so that you can move forward. We're going to talk about some of those ideas here shortly here. So, warning signs that you've been stopped asking good questions, and that is you feel stuck or you feel stagnant, or you're bored or burned out. You keep hitting the same problems over and over again. You kind of feel like you're on repeat, and you start blaming others or circumstances for the challenges that you have. These are signals, not failures. Remember that, because we fail forward. We don't fail. The only failure in life is the failure to get back up again. Every time you make a mistake, think about, what did I learn from that? These are little ways that you can figure out better ways of doing things. So um, I'm trying to think of a better example here about this idea of failures, because too many people are fear failure. They're afraid of failure. It's really just a conversation you're having inside your brain. And I remember several very influential people in my life who said, the reason that I'm more successful than most people is that I'm willing to fail more than most people. Actually, I saw a little video on LinkedIn today that I think probably expresses it best. It was three people putting, and it's the one person who was the 5% of the people just kept putting, come up short, go long, come up short, go long, and poof, down in the hole it goes. Then a very bit of a larger chunk of people, they would try a couple, three times and then they'd quit. But even the biggest chunk of people, and this is, been statistically proven out, and it does in terms of when you look at the success that some people have and the success that other people have, they putt once and then they give up because it fell short. It was really an illustrative um, graphic way of really showing what most people are like. So here's an exercise for you to do, and that is you can go back to some of those other questions, like what do I really want out of my life? What do I really want out of my business? Where do I want to be in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year? What are the things that are holding me back? What beliefs what obstacles, what challenges are holding me back, and then go to what resources do I have already, and what resources will I need to do? Who could help me with this? That sort of thing. So then you want to just go into these three reflection questions. So, what's one truth that I've been avoiding? So one truth might be, you know what? I am stuck in procrastination. Or one truth might be, yes, I keep doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. Or, maybe, yes, I am working on the tools all the time and I have no time to work on my business. So these are just truths that you might be avoiding. So another one is, where am I playing small in my life and my business? I'd say this to every single one of you. And again, you got to really look at what it is that you want to accomplish, what you want to build. Um, when you think about your business, you might say, you know what, I want to get it to $1 million and I want to be able to pay myself $100,000 a year and I want to have 10% net profit at the end of the year. Now, here's the thing where I caution you, always need to be growing a little bit. You can't get stuck because if you say, once I get to 1 million, I'm good, because what'll happen is you'll hit 1 million, then you'll slide back to 800,000. Then you'll push hard, you get back up to 900, maybe you'll go back up to 1 million, then you relax again and boof, you go back down to 700, 600, that sort of thing. So, um, always be pushing through it from a growth perspective, but you don't say, I want to, I'm an electrical contractor or a plumber or an insulator or a roof or whatever, and I want to build a $50 million company or a $10 million company, whatever that is. You don't have to do that, but you always need to be growing at some level, even if it's just a small little bit, because the problem is if you just get stagnant at one level, then those people who want more will grow beyond you and then they'll go someplace else. And then you're going to have to roll back in and start all over again. So, where have I been playing small in my life and my business, and what decisions have I been putting off that would change everything? So, what decisions I've been putting off that would change everything? That's a really important question you want to ask yourself. Now, just hang on for half a second. So, just to reflect on this, you can discuss this with some of your friends or somebody that works with you. What of these questions hit you the hardest? Which ones like punched you in the gut? And have you ever had a breakthrough because of a powerful question? Have you ever had a breakthrough because of a powerful question? You ask yourself some of those questions that I've posted before, I guarantee you're going to have some breakthroughs. So, what will you start asking yourself more often starting today? What will you start asking yourself more often starting today? And I would suggest one of the things you do is you start off by asking is, what am I most grateful for today? Because most of us, we don't even, we haven't got a clue how good we have it. Uh, you know, we get up every day and drink clean water. Most of us never go hungry. And if we do go hungry, it's because, we skipped a meal. It's not because we couldn't afford a meal or we couldn't get a meal. Um, None of us live in the Gaza Strip. None of us live in the Ukraine. None of us live in parts of Africa where there's all kinds of turmoil. We, for the most part, live in a country, whether this is Canada, the United States, or Britain, or the UK, anywhere in the UK. We have it so good we've fallen into this sort of uh, the status quo type of thinking is that, you know what, I'm so whatever about whatever, and not thinking about, you know what, I've got it really good. I've got it really good. We complain too much in this part of the world. That's what I would say. So, you don't need to have all the answers, but start by asking yourself the right questions and the answers will come. So start by asking yourself the right questions and the answer will come. Make a habit of every day asking yourself two or three really powerful questions. Growth isn't about doing more, it's about thinking deeper. Remember, leverage is how do you do more with less? And, if you are working 10 hours a day, maybe you can work 12 hours a day for a little while, but you can't work 12 and 14 hours a day for the rest of your life. So you start thinking about it now. How do I leverage myself? How do I leverage what I know? Part of that is by creating systems and processes, creating a better hiring process, onboarding process, training process, all this stuff for those people who come to work for you. Because people who, A players, if I can call it that, they have A dreams and they want to accomplish those. And if they don't feel like they can accomplish them working for you, they're going to go someplace else. And when you have a good person working for you, you don't want to lose them. And that's another reason why I talked about earlier, where you do need to be growing a little bit all the time, because those people are going to get stagnant and stuck if they don't feel like they're going to be able to grow working for you. So make this week about curiosity, courage, and connecting with the real you. So thanks for listening. Uh, plug some stuff in the comments as to some of the things that this uh, came up for you while you were going through this presentation. And I look forward to the opportunity one day of maybe having an opportunity to work with you. Take care.